Hello my loves. So I'm really looking forward to doing this live stream about what really happens at a Tantra workshop. So if you're jumping on now, you're watching the replay, please say hello and perhaps let me know. I would love to know what it is that you might think a Tantra workshop looks like. Perhaps you already practice Tantra, perhaps it's all new and you don't really know. Yeah, let me know what you think a Tantra workshop, when you think a Tantra workshop, what do you think of? Like, how do you imagine it? What do you envision? Or do you know at all? Like, I would love to know what people's perceptions are, because there are a lot of misconceptions out there. And hi everyone, I just saw some people jump on, so to stop and say hello. You know, there's really a lot of misconceptions around Tantra and what Tantra is, and that's because it means a lot of things, and it means a lot of things, different things to different people. And so I really want to talk about what Tantra means for me and a little bit of my journey. I'm not going to go too much into it because I really want to focus on the workshop, the concept of a Tantra workshop. But I am going to be really sharing with you about the Tantra workshop that I run for couples and what to expect in that, because I can tell you I've been to a lot of Tantra workshops in my time, and none of them have been the same. They've all been different, they've all been to different levels, and I've never really known what quite to expect. I've had like some sort of concept, but then as soon as I have got there and explored, it's just been amazing. It's really just going with an open mind is really important. Hey Brett, hey Angel, how are you? So awesome to see you on here, it's so beautiful. So let's just touch on Tantra a little bit, because I think that's really important. And Tantra was effectively started as a religion by in India and Tibet, a religion that incorporated sexuality. So when there were these other religions being created that didn't incorporate sexuality, the commoners decided to create this thing called Tantra, which incorporated sexuality. So, you know, Tantra really is holistic. It's about wholeness. It's about doing things that incorporate ourselves as sexual beings, not leaving that part of us out. And so, you know, when a lot of people say the word Tantra, people think of sex. But the thing is that Tantra, the actual act of penetrative sex, is actually a really tiny part of Tantra. Let's say about 10%, if that. So in my version of Tantra, because there is Tantra that doesn't really focus on sexuality at all. If you think of Tantra yoga or white Tantra, the focus is not so much on, you know, a sexual act, although, you know, a lot of Tantra works with what's called sexual energy. And so my version of Tantra is really about coming into the heart space, and even, you know, during tantric practices, bringing up your sexual energy into your heart space. And there are a lot of different practices and tools and rituals that you can do to really connect to your heart and connect up your sex and your heart. So again, it's about wholeness, and it's about really being embodied, and so being in your body, where most of us are up here all the time. So when I explore Tantra, it's always about coming back into the body, coming back into the heart, but really being connected to my sexual energy. So for me, it is about connection. It's about heart connection. It's about vulnerability. It's about presence. It's about journeying. It's about exploration. It's not goal focused, okay? There's no trying to have an outcome or trying to have a goal. It's not trying to get anywhere. It's about being in that moment and exploring intimacy really consciously. So this is what it is for me, right? And that's going to be different for everyone, and depending on what workshop you go to, you're going to have a different experience. And I've been to workshops where there's been some touch, but there's been no nudity. And most Tantra workshops you go to, there is no nudity. And so it's quite scary for some people when they hear the word Tantra. They might automatically assume that everyone's going to be naked. And that's definitely not the case, right? And I know in my ethics, and most of the workshops I've been to, everything is optional, okay? You're never forced to do anything that you don't want to do. And one thing I'm very big on is boundaries and consent, and exploring and making sure that I always discuss and do practices around boundaries and consent. I'll get more into that shortly. So this is the big thing to know, is if you are going to go to a workshop, is that you never have to do anything that you don't want to do, okay? It's really important, okay? Really important to know that. And so there are going to be Tantra workshops out there that will explore touch, will explore connection practices that don't involve touch. There may be just creating conscious conversations, exploring what you're, consciously exploring your desires, but without necessarily have to act on any of them. There's things like breath work, so awakening your sexual energy, awakening your body through the breath. There's sound, so making different sounds that are coming out of the body, out of the throat, to open up the throat chakra, and different touch practices. Okay, there's different ways that we can explore touch, and it doesn't, most of it, big chunk of it is non-sexual touch. Most Tantra workshops that I've experienced, it is non-sexual touch, okay, and most often it is clothed, okay. And then movement as well. So the four main elements of Tantra are breath, sound, touch, and movement, okay, particularly exploring Tantra massage, which has been evolved, okay. So Tantra massage actually didn't come from India. It's been evolved and created by a man called Joseph Kramer, who created sexological bodywork. That's a different conversation. So really important that you understand that, first of all, every Tantra workshop is going to be completely different. There may be some similarities. Most Tantra workshops are nudity is not going to be required. And if there is, it's always going to be optional. Okay, you're never going to have to do anything you don't want to do. And depending on the facilitator, obviously, and this is what you really want to check in, is what, where with the integrity of the facilitator. Is that the space is set up as a very sacred space, so that it is very safe. So you feel like you're in this beautiful, safe container, that if something comes up for you, if you get triggered about something, that you're going to be supported, okay? So I'm very big on that in my workshops, is that the first thing that I teach is we talk about agreements, okay? So, and I'm going to start going into what I'm going to be doing, what I do in my workshops, is the first thing I do this in all of my workshops, is agreements. Okay, making agreements around confidentiality, around allowing people to be in their own experience, and being responsible for your own experience, respecting other people, not judging other people. Those sort of things are really important. Then one of the other things I teach is how to hold space. Okay, so if someone else is getting triggered, if something is coming up, how do you hold space for that person? How do you not go into fixing or, things like that? That might take the person away from their experience. Okay, so that's another, after the agreements, we'll go into intentions. Okay, so really important is that, and I do this in all of my sessions, is we talk about what is the intention? What is the intention for this session? And so what is this intention for your workshop? So intention is really powerful. And then looking into managing our emotions and holding space to allow ourselves to feel anything that comes up, and knowing that you're going to be supported by myself and by my assistants in that space if anything does come up for you, and that you'll be able to take time out if you need time out. If you're not feeling comfortable at any stage, that you will be able to put up your hand and be supported, or you'll be able to walk out and go have some time outside until you're feeling better. Okay, that everything is welcome. So this is the thing, it's really important. Everything is welcome in the space, whether that's screaming, whether that's crying, whether that's laughing, it is all welcome. And this is because it's all part of our being able to fully express ourselves. Okay, so whatever's there in the space, it's really, really important to be allowed to express that. And I talk and I set the frame up for that. So I frame that at the start of the workshop, that everything is welcome, and that we are there to support each other and not judge each other, and hold space for each other, because we're all at different stages, so we're all going through different things. So one of the first things I talk about is actually understanding what Tantra is, because there's so many misconceptions. And I remember when someone first mentioned Tantra to me, I just thought it was like having sex and meditating for long periods of time. And back then I didn't even know what meditation was. I thought meditation was just like being silent and breathing for a really long time, right? And I was like, oh, that sounds boring. But Tantra is just is a lifestyle, okay, and it is really coming and seeing living life through their heart space. It really is, and it's living life consciously. And so everything in my life is actually tends to be quite tantric, and some of you watching this, you actually are already quite tantric but haven't been labeled as that, so you're probably doing things that are very tantric, okay. So and this is just some of the things that I talk about is what does it mean to be tantric? What is this about? Okay, and really understanding what it is. So the next thing that I have really hugely, massively big on is boundaries and consent. So I've trained with Dr. Betty Martin. I trained with her for 5 days on what's called the Wheel of Consent. And this is a very amazing tool that is very powerful. I use it in all of my sessions. And really exploring, like, how do we know what a yes is? How do we know what a no is? How do we know how to be in our bodies and choose from our bodies? Because so often we're trying to choose from our heads, and our heads might be in a lot of story about being touched or not being touched, and really exploring how do we want to be touched, and what are we okay with and what are we not okay with, and being able to say no confidently, and knowing what our yes is, full-bodied yeses, okay, in our minds, our hearts, and our yonis or lingams, which are the tantric terms for vagina or penis. Is like knowing like what our full yeses are, and how to actually, you know, say no if it's a no and not feel bad about that, which is often in some people's space, or how to receive fully without feeling like we have to give back. So this is part of Tantra, is exploring these consciously exploring touch and understanding what our yeses and nos are, and how to really get into our bodies, because we can't really know our yeses and our nos if we're not in our body, because our body always knows, but our head our head likes to be in story, and it will often not tell the truth of what our body knows. And then we may feel violated or things like that if and we may give our power away. So this is a big piece. Always talk about. Oh, we got switched. How did that happen? That's my diva light. This is why I look so radiant, but obviously I like to think I'm naturally radiant as well, but my diva light makes me extra radiant. So yeah, really important to explore that, and that should be at any Tantra workshop you go to. If the facilitator is not talking about boundaries and consent, be very just be a bit worried. Like, I would be noting that. And I've been to a workshop before. That did not talk about boundaries, and I was not very happy about that. And I brought it up because there was a lot of stuff going on where people were not in their full yeses and were not able to say no, and there was no conversation about it. And I just was like, no, this is not right. Like, you need to be talking about this, because you cannot be putting people in positions where it might be hard for them to say no because of their past experiences, and then they can become re-traumatized. So really important that is talked about. Okay, so that's one of the first pieces that before going into any sort of touch practices, always make sure we talk about boundaries and consent. Okay. I also talk about conscious communication. Okay, that's a big part, and creating emotional safety. So creating those spaces where someone can feel safe to fully express any of emotions that are coming up, so that in my workshops, that whatever comes up is the space is held for that. Okay, really important. Okay, and this, as I said, this is a lot of stuff I do in all of my workshops, not just my Tantra workshops, because a lot of emotions do come up, and they need to be. That's the point of running my workshops, is that you're gonna bring up stuff, and that needs to be, allow yourself to feel it. Of course, you know, people come to my workshops, and it may not be a big emotional experience. It may be a gentle, beautiful, connected experience that maybe it doesn't bring a lot of emotion up, and that happens too, right? So it depends on where the person's at. But whatever's there, I'm there to fully support all of that. Okay. And this is why I teach the conscious communication as well, and especially in my Tantra workshop for couples, that I'll be teaching tools, particularly understanding the difference between how men and women communicate, and how to hold space for a man and how to hold space for a woman, and how to honor them in those spaces, and how to manage your own emotions, how to manage your triggers, things like that, which are really, really, really important, especially creating that emotional safety, because when you create the emotional safety, you allow yourself to go deeper, okay? If you don't feel safe, you're not going to go deep with that person. So if you know that you can just fully express all of you, and that person is going to receive you and not judge you and not fix you and just hold you through it, you're going to allow yourself to fully go there. But we're not taught how to do this. So for me, one of the things I'm really big on is teaching how to create emotional safety, because particularly for women, when we feel safe in our emotions, we will actually start to get aroused. And it's really amazing how this happens. Our body starts to get aroused, our yoni starts to get aroused because we feel safe. And when the body feels safe, we can get really juicy and excited, and it's really amazing. And I can just, with my lover, he can just I can just be like sharing with him stuff that's coming up for me, and he can just be holding space, and maybe he'll just get my reality, and maybe I'll ask him for some advice on that, and then I'll get juicy, and I'm like, oh, I'm like really turned on right now. Or maybe it's the way he just holds me without trying to do anything. And this is the practice that him and I are actually going to share with you. It's a heart holding practice. It's like really how to hold a woman's heart when she has expressed her vulnerabilities and her boundaries, and how to really hold her in that, and then physically hold her in it. And with that, what we're going to explore is how to express your desires, whether that be desires in your life, but particularly sexual desire. Like, how do you express your sexual desires without being rejected, okay? And what we're going to teach you is that how do you welcome someone's sexual desire, but honor yourself and your boundaries without them feeling rejected. Like it's and I don't think, and this is really common for men, like so many of my male clients and men that I meet just have shut down their desire, have shut down their arousal because they have been rejected so many times that they just give up, and so they shut it down. The problem with that is that when a man shuts down his desire and arousal, he internalizes it and he shames himself. And often he's been shamed by someone or something, or by society. He's been shamed for his desire, and he'll make himself wrong. Okay, and that creates shame, that creates sexual shame, which then can lead to suppressing his emotions, and then it might come out in unhealthy ways. It can lead to sexual issues like erectile dysfunction, performance anxiety, premature ejaculation, a lack of confidence, losing his mojo, losing his feeling of manhood, like the list goes on. Like, it can really affect. And so one of the ways to really help with that is to welcome a man's sexual desire, but explore and get curious about it without even necessarily having to explore it. If the other person is not okay with it, then there's ways to communicate around that can actually open up a way of exploring, and maybe it's not exploring the actual desire, but it might be opening up, and just expressing it can be so healing. And having that desire received without it being judged or made wrong is really powerful, okay? Really, really powerful. And this is one of the reasons that clients come to see me. Sometimes the healing is simply in being able to express, well, this is what I'm desiring. These are my fantasies, these are my desires. And to have that received by someone and not judged, and have it go, and to have it be like, oh wow, they're like, tell me more about that. Like, and why do you like that? What does it bring up in you? How does it make you feel when you desire that? Like, where does it come from? Yeah, and getting really curious without the judgment in the space just opens up someone, and it just can be so liberating just by being able to talk about it. So imagine being able to talk about having that open space with a partner where you can say, hey, like, these are my desires. Like, I'm desiring to connect with you more, and this is what connection looks like for me. And the other person might look different for them, and they might be able to say, like, oh, I really receive that, I can see that, and I can really feel that, and this is what I desire. And then creating other conversations around that and opening up. And this is as simple as it can be, right? This really is really how simple it can be. And so we're going to show you a practice around that, and then how to speak your vulnerabilities and how to speak your boundaries. Like, because like it's almost like if someone, often if someone says a desire to me, sometimes I'll notice in my body, it was like, oh, I'm not sure if I really, like my body might feel like, it might put an energy up that feels like, no, I can't do that. And it's like, how do I speak that to the person? How do I speak from vulnerability without making them wrong? And how do I honor my boundaries, right? And because when you do that, you get rid of that energy that shut you down, right? Especially if you have energy on receiving where it's not been healthy to receive, or you've been taken advantage of, or you've had unwanted touch, or you haven't been able to say no, or all this stuff in the space. This can liberate all of that. So yeah, I'm really excited to share that piece. That's really, really powerful. And the other things we're going to explore is what I touched on before, was men's sexual healing is around how men are wired sexually, how their orgasm works, why they have certain sexual desires, where does that come from, their addiction to ejaculation, all the sexual issues that men can have that I mentioned before, and how to start healing these, how to rewire, and how to have a woman hold space. And so I'm going to show these practices of how a woman can actually help a man to heal, okay? So how she can hold space for him to start healing some of this stuff, and be in her feminine, okay? So rather than coming from a masculine energy, how can she be in her feminine and holding space for a man? And the first day of the couples Tantra workshop is all going to be focused on honoring the masculine. So we're going to be exploring how to deeply honor him and honor his masculine. And my lover is going to take the men out to do, I'm really excited about this, to do a masculine embodiment practice ritual. I don't know, I'm leaving it up to him to do. It's not my area, but so he's going to take the men out to get really juiced up in their masculine energy and get them charged up and really embodying this wild warrior king energy. And then while he's doing that, I'm going to be really getting the woman embodied in their juicy, feminine, priestess, maiden, this beautiful vulnerability, and whilst honoring boundaries, and just, so it's going to be so juicy. I'm really excited. So I'll be doing that, and then we'll bring you the men and the woman together. And I don't want to give too much away, but we will be doing a beautiful, beautiful ritual where these men really get honored by the woman, by their feminine, while they're in this really powerful masculine energy. So that is going to be beautiful. And so, yeah, so we're really exploring the polarity as well. So the different masculine, feminine energies and how the polarities play out, both in and out of the bedroom, and how to keep your polarity high, because sexual polarity is great for sex, right? Well, polarity itself is great for sex, but it's not so good for long-term relationship. So it's like, how do you keep the polarity and the sexual chemistry alive whilst being able to have a healthy relationship? Okay, so we'll explore some of that. And yeah, and then day 2, I think that's, let me just check if that's everything. We got together on Sunday, and we went through everything we wanted to do in this. So yeah, we're going to definitely be exploring understanding polarity and how that plays out. And we're going to do, okay, so at the end of the last day, we are going to demonstrate a lingam massage, so a penis massage, and that will be a demonstration, okay? And then later in the evening, there is optional practice time, okay? So this is where the optional part comes in. What we're going to do is set up this beautiful sacred space. The lights will be dimmed, we'll have candles and music, and everyone will be in their own experience. So for those who are wishing to stay on in the space, you will be welcome to then stay and continue in the practices if you're wanting to explore the lingam massage, or the body massage and Tantra massage. And we will be teaching Tantra massage practices as well. And so that's an optional thing. So for people who are not ready for that, you will be able to go home, and you won't be missing out, because you'll be welcome to go home and practice together, right? And you might just want to stay in the space and dance. It doesn't have to be like this is what you have to do. It will be totally allowing whatever you feel drawn to practice. And again, we'll be there to support anyone in the space that wants to stay on. So I really want to create that beautiful safe space for people who do want to practice there, but you'll be welcome to go home. So there's never any pressure to have to do anything in the group space, okay? Yeah, so I even at my women's event, we did a practice where it was a clothed practice, and it was just where we focused on touching a hand, and that actually triggered some of the women who had some triggers around other women being touched by other women. And so it was totally optional for them to not even have to touch each other, and we did another practice instead. There's always other options. So I'm here to support you exactly where you're at, okay? And we will do simple practices like that where it is focused on, we'll eye gaze, or we'll touch hands, or explore touch practices in a fully clothed situation. And I don't want to give too much away. Yeah, but just to know that it's a really, really safe, honoring space. And of course, you do have the options to go deeper as well. So it's open, it's available and open to everyone, no matter what level you're at. So day 2 is about honoring the feminine. Okay, so the focus is on woman on day 2. And one of the things that I love, and I think it's very unique to the work that I bring, is I teach men and women how to understand each other and the differences between how we're wired. And so I'm going to be really bringing that into this workshop and having conversation around that. And I'm usually only ever talking to men, and I'm usually only ever talking to women. So I'm usually talking to women about men, and I'm usually talking to men about women. And I think it's going to be really juicy because we're going to have men and women in the space. So I think we're going to have a lot to share and to see what comes up, which is going to be really interesting. And myself and my lover, we've had experiences with this, and we speak from our stories that we share stories of how we've noticed things, our differences, and how they've shown up. And because I'm aware of the differences, how our communication is different and how things end up playing out differently, simply because we're aware, no, that's because you're like this, and this is the way you think, and here this is the way I think, and this is why we do things differently. But so often we're expecting that the other person should be doing the things how we would do it, right? So this is one of my favorite parts. This is one of my favorite things to teach. So on the women's, on the honoring the feminine, we'll be really exploring understanding women's sexuality, understanding women's orgasm, exploring some of the different types of orgasms. We'll be looking at, again, creating emotional safety, because creating emotional safety for a woman is completely different from creating emotional safety for a man. There are some similarities, but yeah, that we process things differently, so that's key to know, right? We will be doing some practices around feeling our energy and really feeling into our boundaries. We're going to be doing a beautiful hug practice which allows the woman to really surrender and just fully let go, and have the man just fully hold her, fully be present for her, and she can just fully surrender to him. And this is a beautiful practice to do before you go into lovemaking. Again, this is a fully clothed practice, okay? So all of this is going to be done fully clothed, right? Which, I would be happy to be totally naked the whole time, but I just know that a lot of people are not at that level, and that's totally fine. And it took me a while as well. Like, I went to lots of Tantra workshops, and people would get naked sometimes, and I would be clothed, and that would be fine. So just, just wherever you're at is fine. So we will be exploring, we'll be talking about Yoni Massage, and we'll be demonstrating Yoni Massage. I have my beautiful assistants that are just so amazing to do. They do this together, and I basically will tell you as we go along exactly what we're doing. So you're effectively getting like a commentary, I guess. And it's a really great way to learn as well. So just, you know, whether you're audio or visual, you're going to get a lot of great, you're going to be able to learn this. And you'll also get videos of this. So you'll get videos of Yoni Massage. These have already been recorded, so these are not being videoed at the workshop. These will be copies for you to keep. So Yoni Massage, Lingam Massage, Breast Massage are the videos that you'll also get. And so the other thing that we do explore is breast massage. So again, this is optional, okay? This may be something that later on that you practice with your partner, but we will demonstrate it. And yeah, so this is, again, all of these more intimate practices are something that can be explored later on when we set up that sacred space for people who want to practice in the space and people who want to go home and practice it. You can, and together, and there's no right or wrong or no judgment on any of that. It's all perfect, yeah, for wherever you're at, okay? Another practice that I really love is focused on and really how to feel the feminine too. So this is the thing that I'm getting a bit emotional about this. Is that women don't understand how beautiful they are. Like when they are in their feminine, it's just, when they're in this radiance, it's just like you're a goddess. And men are just like, wow, they just are like, wow, they are enamored, absolutely enamored. And I've done a practice with a woman where I embodied the masculine energy and she was in her feminine. And I was doing this practice with her and I was just like, wow, this woman is so beautiful. And in that moment, I got how men feel about us. I was like, wow, we are beautiful. We are beautiful goddesses and we don't even see it. But men, they see it and they just, it was absolutely breathtaking. So I want to take you through a practice. I am going to take you through a practice where you really get to feel this energy, where you really get to feel this beautiful feminine radiance that is just incredible. And it's just it's so beautiful. And to see a woman in that way is just it's like words can't even describe it. It's something you just have to practice for yourself. So I'm going to show you that practice. Yay. Getting a bit excited, as you can tell. This is a general overview of what we will be exploring. And the other thing is I also want to talk about is women's sexual healing. So if women have numbness or pain or are limited in their orgasm, you know, even have had sexual abuse, we're going to explore understanding women's sexuality and understanding her ability to receive or not receive, and really coming back into the body and being able to heal those blocks, and how a man can heal his woman with the Yoni massage and with breast massage and with working with things like Yoni mapping. And we're going to discuss, you know, how my journey of Yoni mapping and de-armoring and how I've opened up myself to becoming a multi-orgasmic woman. So yeah, so we're doing a lot. Like this is a lot that we're going to put in there, but it's going to be amazing. So if this calls to you, if you feel like this is the kind of thing that I really want to explore, and yes, my Tantra workshop is more sexuality based, okay, and it is I guess I prefer to say my work is sexual healing. I do sexual healing with tantric practices, okay, and I do things that are not necessarily tantric as well. So but Tantra is something that people have heard and they want to know more about, they want to explore. So I do like to use that word so people gain some sort of understanding about it, and a lot of my work is very tantric. So if this is calling to you, please let me know, and then I can send you information on my next Tantra workshop. So yeah, just let me know if you're feeling, I really want to explore some Tantra. If you're not feeling a workshop is for you, but you really feel like, I would really like to explore some of this stuff, I do this with one-on-one sessions, okay? So I do this, I usually tend to take people on journeys where we'll go through these practices and explore them together. And because, you know, Tantra kind of isn't a one-off thing, although I have done one-off sessions, the journey is where the deep work and the real big results. And not that we're so much results focused, although the intentions most usually focus more on what is the intention behind doing this exploring Tantra and the different rituals that we explore. But it's a beautiful journey. It's a life-changing journey. It's a liberating journey. It's a heart-connected journey. It's beautiful, and it's different for everyone. So I can't say that exactly what you're going to get out of it, because it depends on where you're at and what your intention is. So if you want to come on the journey of Tantra, please feel free to reach out to me, whether that is in a workshop, whether it is something you want to learn for your partner. I mean, I do run a women's workshop about men, sex, and Tantra, and we explore our own sexuality. So even if a couple's one isn't necessarily for you, or maybe you're not in a relationship, I do women's workshops on this, and I do a men's workshop on understanding women and women's orgasm and women's sexuality. So I've kind of made it so I've got something for everyone. And I do online stuff as well. So I do have online programs, and I do have I have a women's tantric sexual healing online program. I have the men's her orgasm program, and I have a men's tantric sexual healing online program that's focused on becoming a multi-orgasmic man and healing sexual issues. Like, I've really got something for everyone. So and I do Skype, and I do in person, and yeah, it's something I'm really passionate about. So I hope this is kind of giving you guys a really good idea of what you can expect. Although the interesting thing is Tantra is not about expectations. So it's about letting the expectations go and trusting whatever is in the space, whatever's there for you to explore, is exactly what you need at the time that you need it, okay? And when you are out there exploring Tantra, or wanting to choose someone to explore it with, like a facilitator or a Tantra practitioner or Tantrika like myself, is really talk to them about, do your research, okay? Because it's really important that you get someone that is in integrity and that boundaries and consent are really important, okay? So I just wanted to just reiterate that. And of course, you know, feel into it, like, what feels good for you. Okay, so are there any questions on that? I know I talk quite a lot tonight, but if there's any questions, please let me know. And if you don't want to ask them on here, you can always just PM me, just message me on Facebook, or you can email me, tantraangel@outlook.com. But I will put up a list of my events. I will post them on this live stream, and yeah, you can have a look and check them out. But yeah, I hope you got something out of this, and maybe it's opened up your world to Tantra, and maybe it's something you might explore one day. Anyway, much love everyone, and from my heart space to yours, thank you.